Oh shit, I don't have any music. Give me a sec. Spotify, rescue me. I summon thee. Today's a weird stream. I am not necessarily. I mean, like, I'm kind of gonna be making art, but not really. Not really, y'all. It's very much less making stuff. Traditionally, well, I gotta make myself a good old like D&D map. Let me see. Okay, let me see if there's actually. I'm working on a D&D campaign that I'm writing, and so let's see. Free D&D map. I don't actually want a map maker. I just want a like. I just want like a top thing. So this is, you're just gonna watch me browse the internet and talk about stuff. That's cool. People have made maps before. But I want to see fucking little dots. I want to see dots, guys. Lines. I need... alright. Never mind. I don't want to do any of this. Okay. We'll just build the assets ourselves then. Fine. Fine. Alright. I guess the D&D square is actually probably... Let's see, D&D map measurements. Because you want to be able to make something that actually scales, right? Scale is actually fairly smart. Yeah, okay, so 1 inch is about 5 feet. That makes sense. Let's just see... Grid size. I think it's really based on like an inch of we're looking at an inch per, because that's like the size of a base mini, I think. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, oh, now we know. Now we know. I'd like maybe a medium. So I'm making this box a little bit, because we're gonna make like, I want it to be dungeon-like, right? So that we'll call this one Dungeon Square. Oops. Hide. I guess there's still art making happening here, but. And you're like, you have a perfect square. Why are you kind of like hand drawing it when you've got something that works? And the idea is kind of round the edges a little bit. Give it a nice. Add some distressing here and there. Yeah. This is a bit much on this outside, but okay. So why am I working on making a map when I'm talking about making a D&D adventure? Well, part of it is because I've thought out kind of the campaign for the most part, but part of that means that I need to plan out the encounter or the general space. And while I can do that without a map, having a map is probably much easier. I'm just gonna call this grid. And I think there's probably a better way to do this in Photoshop in terms of like turning this into, turning this into like a pattern or something in Adobe and then going through. But it is what it is. So we're getting to the point where I'm like designing most of the actual battle encounter, and I'm just sketching everything out in Drive or in a Google Doc before I actually like format it and proof edit it and everything like that. But the reason I'm now I know I said I'm writing a thing in the stream description, but the map part is going to be important because the map will sort of help me determine what kind of encounters I can have, or like how many extra things I need to plan. It's like, oh, do I have trapdoors? I should put that into the guide. I wasn't planning on having a trapdoor, but maybe this encounter might be more fun if it does. So anyway, I'm just gonna do this the old-fashioned way. Gonna keep those. And to try to be mindful of folks, I'm gonna probably, since this is like, I would probably want this to be printable. So I'm pretty much just like, we're gonna just do this. Yeah, we'll keep it. Just to give it some, a little bit of a spice. We'll flip it upside down so it doesn't completely repeat. So this is trying to set us up long term for map making success here. Okay, then okay, do I have room? Maybe we'll try that. Great. And then we will flatten all of that together. And granted, there's like space, right? You can see this is like an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. We have space around, so like likely most people don't have printers that can print to the edge, or I don't know, maybe they do now. I haven't bought a printer in like 10 years. But I'm gonna assume most people don't have printers that can print to the edge. I think, or borderless printing, I think. So we're gonna just assume that there's gonna be some space that we need to cut off anyway to tile these sheets of 8.5 by 11 for like someone making this at home, because that's kind of the predominant primary audience. So I'm actually gonna save this now as a document. So now it's a template. Think ahead when you're building stuff because you'll probably have to build it again. D&D campaign, creating stuff. And then this is going to be called map template. Now that I have map template, I'll save a copy or save as. We'll call this, when do you need the map? We're going to do the, what did I call it? It's like the Hidden Temple, I think. Hidden Temple 1, because it's probably likely more. Cool. So now I can just like straight up map design. So the kind of the story comes that like they come in down a single stairway, and then I think it's going to open up to a system of caves. Ooh, magic sword. Okay. So I'm going to create another thing because I also a new doc because I kind of need a greater idea of like how all of this is working, right? So, and what I mean by that is that like if I'm doing one tile, I'm like, I need to know in my head how is this map going to play out as a whole. So say we have kind of like the starting passageway here, and then maybe it opens up into like, we'll finesse this, like a cave here. And this is a good place to have like, maybe this is called like, this is like the antechamber. And so this is probably where there's like, let's see, if I'm a cult, so we need to think about like good gameplay, but we also need to think about storytelling. So it's like if I was a cult and I had a temple, so it's like you have a church and then there's a hidden door that leads down these steps, which is this. So these are all going to be stairs. We can extend it out a little bit longer, whatever. And then you get to this like first room, and it's like, what do we think would be in this first room? Do we think there's going to be, should we have, likely since you already booby trapped the door up here, like what do we think's going on? We probably think there's going to be, so, okay, wait, let's go back to the story. So the story, the hidden temple. Okay, we're going to have them go down to the temple, and then I think the story arc. Okay, so we need a few things. So we need like an antechamber. We need a like a jail / holding cell. We need a weird like kind of like lab place. It's not really a lab, but I'm calling it a lab because they're doing experimentation on people. And then we need kind of like final boss fight / sacrifice like room. Okay, so like, you know, it's a lot of work carving into stone. Like this used to be an old temple, but so maybe this is how it goes. It's like, so it would make sense if this was a actual temple that was built and then this cult has like taken it over. You could say that like so likely it's not going to be, maybe they would have it along the wall and then it comes out into like this, maybe it's like a big foyer which used to be like the main This is like maybe the main place that it used to be. So there's maybe like pillars here because it's carved into a mountain. You don't want that shit falling on you. And then maybe there's like a bunch of like stone pillars, maybe, or sorry, pews. And then there's like maybe a stage, like an altar or like a dais or something. Like, I don't know, maybe it's circular or something. Who knows? Okay, so that's like, this would make sense that this is like an old place of worship, maybe. Maybe it's not that. I'll do this on one layer. This is going to be terrible. Okay. Okay, so story-wise, I'm thinking like this is this interesting, like, weird old temple. But then, because it's a cult, and maybe like the power of the old, so like gods in D&D are pretty powerful. They like exist, right? It's a world of magic and gods and demons and stuff. So like maybe like the cultists don't actually use this area. Why wouldn't they use this area? They maybe wouldn't use this area. No, they would. Why wouldn't you use an area? There's no reason why you wouldn't use this area. The only, okay, so things that would make sense. This is ancient, like part of it crumbled. Like a wall collapsed or a pillar collapsed, so like, or the ground collapsed, or there's a cave in, right? So this is like I'm like writing, quote unquote, but I'm also like, I'm using imagery to help me figure out the writing. Okay, so maybe this makes no sense that this is here. Maybe this does have to be the final ceremony place that these cultists are using. So like maybe that's just the honest truth of it, is that like this has to be someplace else. Just gonna move this here. And it maybe this pillar collapsed, and so maybe there's like rubble kind of all around this, right? That kind of narratively makes sense if like that pillar is gone. So rubble has come off, and like, okay, so this actually kind of adds to some interesting storytelling, right? So this, a long time ago, this was a temple that was used. It's underground. One of the pillars collapses after hundreds of years of disuse, and like there's a landslide, so most of the room is uninhabitable, and it actually blocks off kind of like the main entrance. And maybe you could kind of see it, and maybe that's how the cultists found it too, right? You like come down the stairs, and then there's like a little, maybe small room, like a tiny room, and then there was like doors here. But these doors are mainly blocked by the thousands of pounds of rock that have fallen. So, maybe these rocks are completely blocked. This door is completely blocked. So then maybe the cultists have decided to like, maybe this is a bigger room. Scale is going to be weird here. We're still figuring it out. They've dug like their own passageway, and then maybe they've made like an offshoot room. And then, I don't know, they didn't know how far they were going. Okay, and this is supposed to be a one-shot, so it doesn't need to be super complex. In this room, maybe... They've caged... They've just, like, carved this space out. And then this is, like, the jail, or, like, they've made, like, bars, you know, to keep people in. And then this is where the people have been... I think there's townsfolk being kept there. And then... okay. So... I want them to use zombies. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out, like, how do we best move this, or we, like, solve this problem, right? So okay, so there needs to be an antechamber where they fight some like more little cultist dudes. Then there needs to be a jail because the cult has been kidnapping. They've been kidnapping village people. But then we also need a chance to find the old religious leader that the cult has supplanted. And so I wonder if maybe she's just, like, dead in this cell. There's, like, the dead old elf lady that looks like an orc, but whatever. There's, like, we put her in the jail cell, and then... oh, okay. Oh, I know what it is. I think there's zombies that guard this jail. Zombies. Zombos. And then... so then we can just have... okay, so there's 1, 2... there's kind of this thing going on. Maybe there's... we'll put a secret door here, because what place doesn't have a secret door? We always want to have a secret door, you know, just to give people a reason to, like, look in, you know, a secret door, and there's a room with a ladder, and then that goes to just another room where there's a ladder that comes into it, and then there's, like, I don't know, a treasure chest, and, like, there's like bookshelves. There's a bookshelf. Yeah, there's bookshelves, and then, like, a treasure chest. Yeah. So if there's a secret. Okay, and so then up here, oh, you know what? We'll do? We're gonna get rid of the dead person. They're not gonna be stuck in jail. That's kind of a fucked up thing to say. Like these people don't really know what's going on yet. So it makes sense if there's the dead body. Okay, that dead corpse of Elf is gonna be here. Secret door. I'm just gonna highlight, like, entries, treasure chest, zombie, escapees, and then, like, then back here can be our, like, big bad evil priest dude. Rah. Okay. So then they have all this room to battle pretty unobstructedly. They have pillars to dodge. Oh, we can maybe have like, we'll have like collapsed walls on this side too. So then it creates kind of an interesting battle shape. You have like some stuff to hide behind, and then but it's generally just like a straight battle, kind of. They can maybe get a little bit closer if they have a rogue in the party. They could like peek around and maybe like try to stealth and like wait for them to come up. Okay, that's cool. And then yeah, so there's gonna be a door here, so like he doesn't hear you coming and like fighting the zombies. But then the acolytes are gonna be here. Yeah. Okay, so boss, cool. Okay, so this is helpful because now we know how we can plan. So this sketch, remember, it started off with me having it be like over here, and then we realized it has to have all of this other kind of like interesting storytelling going on. That allows for like, corners, kind of like you can try to maybe kite the zombies back if you need to. There's a door that then is like protected by the zombies maybe. And then you break in, and then it's the battle with the high priest fanatic guy. And then you fight him, and then you have a happy day. Okay. Okay, so now I actually... Okay, now we can actually get to writing, because with this, I don't actually have to make the entirety of the map. So I'm just going to move that away. So now we are getting into... I'll zoom in. I don't know if you can even read this on your screen, but hopefully this is like giant for me, but hopefully you can maybe read some of this. Okay, so we're good. So I'm writing out the environment of this whole kind of thing. So the inner sanctum, that's this. So now I'm changing this. They're actually finished, so they're probably going to be smaller, like 10 feet tall. Large, I must have been really tired. Cancerous space. I don't even know what I was trying to say. Large. Ceremonial space. I don't know. Ceilings X. Yeah, it's big. It's big. The more recent passageways that have been carved by the wardens. So like the story is that there's like this group of people called the Wardens of the Light who are a fake Elishar cult. They're actually worshipping this weird like illusion fire light demon that I've made called Nerithrax. So anyway, that's who the Wardens are. More recent passageways that have been carved by the Wardens are unfinished and rough. That's all. That's all that needs to be said. Lighting, there's sconces and torches inside of it. Temple is deep underground. cold and I don't want to say reeks, but like is infused with the smell of dust, mold, and wet earth. It's cold and humid. And I don't know, that's fine. And humid from the, yeah, I don't know. It's cold and humid. I already said cold. It's deep underground, cold, humid. And is infused with the smell of dust, mold, and wet earth. That gives you a sense of the thing. There are the inner sanctum has stone tiles, decorative stone tiles as flooring, but the rest of the temple's flooring is just packed earth over carved stone. Now, I don't know. They wouldn't have packed earth, right? So, like, I want packed earth because it's softer on their feet. I'm so carrying of my adventures. But is the stone that the passageway was carved from. Okay. What is that called? Oh, excuse me. I'm so tired today. Yawning. Okay, so I was thinking like avalanche. Or like worn by time. That's something that's more descriptive and can be referred to later clearly. Worn by time. The temple has seen far better days in past ages when it was a flourishing temple to the god. Do I want to tell them, or could it just be whoever? To the... Who do I have? I think it's, I always forget. So Elishar. Valanthe Moonbrook, that's the former priest. And she is a... What is she? Oh yeah, Elona. Duh. Okay. So I think maybe this was a former Elonian temple. The forest god Elona. Okay. And then I think after a massive cave-in blocked the doors to the inner sanctum. temple was abandoned and the chapel above ground was built as a way to be closer to the forests of Elona. Okay, so that'll give it, like, that kind of allows the DM to, like, weave in story about, like, you want to give them enough stuff to hold on to, but not, like, I don't know, I don't like telling them, like, exactly what happened, but it kind of makes sense, right? You have a massive natural cave-in. This is a group of people who worship the forest god. You're like, oh, well, we were fucking worshiping underground. That might not have been smart. We should build it closer to the forest. And so they built above this temple, not trying to abandon it or anything. And so they're like, we'll build it above. So that makes sense. At least it makes sense to me. If it doesn't make sense to you, tell me. Otherwise, we're going with that. Okay, so since the discovery of the underground temple by Father Tramplar, I think that's a good name. I'm really proud of that name, Father Tramplar. Doesn't Tramplar sound both like obviously someone who tramples over others is also kind of saucy, like you're calling them a tramp, and then also it feels like Templar, so it feels like he's like a holy knight, you know, which is kind of what he is. He's like a cleric warlock, herald of the flame, right? He's an evil wizard dude, but he's also like a religious cult leader. So I feel like Father Tramplar is a very good name. Here, okay, I think you can see this fine. Anyway, okay, discovery of the underground temple. The wardens of the light have made some renovations to this space. See, the jet. Cut a new path through the stone into the inner sanctum and have made some other renovations to the space. See the jail. Okay. So then now, the jail. Okay. The jail. Zombos. That's not helpful. Okay. In a side passage, in an offshoot of the main pathway to the inner sanctum, the wardens have installed a makeshift jail by embedding large metal grates into the stone wall. Inside the jail are scared and malnourished townsfolk from Smallwick. Recently abducted from Smallwick. while outside the jail. R2. Oh, let me see. Does that work? Reanimate townsfolk. CR. 1/4. So that's 50 XP. Since there's 2 of them. No, let's say 3. Okay, say if there's 3 zombies. That's what? We double the XP, I think, to find out if it's good enough for the party. So then, like, that'd be 150 times 2 is 300. 300 XP for a party of 5 level 1s. If I remember right, that should be, like, like, difficult but doable. And I think, okay, so the other thing is I knew that like zombies are really hard to kill because of they have the undead fortitude, meaning that like unless they get hit by radiant damage, they like can do a constitution saving throw. So basically they're like barely alive, but they're still alive. Which doesn't mean they can't still attack you. Dark vision. I spelled that wrong. Darvision. I was like, what's that? That's kind of cool. Okay, so knowing that, and I made sure earlier in the adventure that because these are level 1s, you're not going to have enchanted weaponry, right? You're just going to have like a normal ass sword. And I feel like, to be honest, like, unless you're specifically told, I feel like clerics and paladins aren't often, like, I don't know, at least maybe it's my generation, but I think my generation will tend to lean towards making a party of, like, pretty standard party, right? Like a barbarian, because someone wants to just, like, stab stuff. You're going to have someone like me who is, like, a wizard or a ranger because we, like, don't want to die and we just want to shoot things from far away. You'll probably have, like, a rogue, maybe, or you have, like, I don't know, like, maybe you have a bard or something, right? Like, I don't know, something like that. And then, like, I guess you would have a cleric because you want, like, a healer. But I don't know. You don't want to have your healer have to do all of the final damage to the zombies. Like, that's just, like, not a good breakdown. So I made sure that the mayor who gives you the quest to take out this cult or to, like, investigate the cult and you end up taking them out is she offers to, like, enchant 2 of your weapons for, like, this adventure, basically. So that way, okay, so one, it kind of gives you a hint. If players are familiar with D&D, they're like, oh, maybe we're going to fight undead stuff. Because you know that radiant damage is, like, anti-undead. It's, like, the holy magic of... Like, I think of things in Magic the Gathering terms because I've played a lot more Magic than I have D&D. So I think of it as, like radiant is, like, white mana, white magic, or, like, holy magic. And then... or, like, you know, like in World of Warcraft, right? It's, like, holy magic. And then... that does more damage against undead, right? So, but just, you know, it's like a weaker form because, like, enchant, I was looking at the book, the guidebooks, and, like, enchant weapon is actually usually like a level 2 spell. So if you have it straight off, like, out of the book, it's gonna, like, permanently enchant, and they, like, I think they do, like, 2d8 radiant damage plus chance for a burst that also does 4d8 or something like that. You're like, light, and then magic light goes out, which could, like, one-shot these zombies and not make it fun. So, you know, you gotta balance it. So it's like a weenie, it's like a smaller version of enchant weapon, and it only lasts for, like, 2 days, or a day maybe. So that's actually a really good incentive to push the adventurers to, like, go take care of stuff. So they're not like, you know what, we want to stick around to the festival and see what the festival is about. There's a festival. It's more of like, go investigate now, and then like as you fight stuff, you'll be like, oh, I'm really glad we made the barbarian's sword and the paladin's sword, like we imbued it with radiant energy so we can just like slash the hell out of these zombies. Although, you know, like there's always a chance too that you'd have this thing where like the wizard, the ranger, or like whoever doesn't have radiant enchantments is like wins on the initiative rolls, and so like they fight first, and they're like the people with radiant damage are like hitting the zombies, and then the wizard is like fireball, and then the zombies both make like saving throws, and you have to wait for it to get all the way back around to like the barbarian to then like hit them again. You know, it's like okay, so anyway, back to the writing. Outside the jail are 3 zombies. Reanimated townsfolk, I think. Animated townsfolk / zombies. Who shamble about and have been set to guard the other townsfolk. Have been set to both terrorize and make an example of Defiance, as well as guard the other townsfolk. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, with 15 HP, level 1. Yeah, they're going to be slightly rough, but hopefully they can take care of them, you know? Take care of them. Alright, so that's the jail. We figured that out. Okay, so we have the antechamber before. Antechamber. No, it's not a flame. I think I called it that earlier. The hidden temple. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Because I thought it would be a fully, like, cultist place, but it's like... the antechamber. So, upon following the staircase into the earth, the characters will find the staircase ending in a small antechamber. Section X. And I'm putting section X because I haven't labeled the sections yet. I could do that now, but I have to go through and proofread this anyway, so I'll make those determinations later. So like when you're creating stuff, you kind of want to keep pushing forward. I know some people like go back to cross all the T's and dot the I's and stuff, but I don't like doing that until later. Like I like having an outline, and I like knowing where I'm going, or like, you know, like that's why we made this like crude map, just because we're like, oh yeah, like, so they come down the stairs, they fight some acolytes here, they like go through, they're like, oh, the doors can't be opened, it's way too heavy, there's like, it's shut solid, and as they like bang on it, dirt crumbles through, as if these doors have been completely buried under earth. And so then you're like, all right, you go through the dark hole or darker hole, and then you're like, oh shit, there's zombies, and you fight zombies in this little passageway or into the jail. Maybe we can open it up as just like a big thing, give more space to fight, and then you turn the corner, and then you go up and you sneak in, and then you see the main priest doing crazy shit, and then you battle, you win, you take the key, maybe you find the secret passageway, you take the key, you open the jail, you release the prisoners, and then you're a hero, because that's what you want them to be heroes. You can be heroes just for one day. Okay. So anyway, so that's why, like, I did that map, but now that I have a rough outline, I'm not going to, like, finish the map yet, because, one, it could change as I'm writing. I could be like, oh, it might be even better if there's something else. But also, because I feel like the writing for me is the more important part. The map can be changed and tweaked to suit my purposes, and it's also going to take a lot of busy work. Of making sure there's enough space and like you can shoot and all that kind of stuff. So that's its own challenge, and so I want to just finish the main guide and then I can get to the map making. But I still needed to do that rough outline of the map to know relatively how the story is going to progress. So anyway, they find the small antechamber, which has, what are the acolytes? Okay. So the acolytes are pretty gnarly. Okay, so in this adventure, you fought some like little chump initiates. You'll fight a few chump acolytes. Then you fight zombies. So okay, so if we're saying, do we want to slowly? Okay, so again, level 1 character, so likely people not super experienced in Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe RPGs, but not D&D specifically. Or they could be experienced, but just coming to play new campaign. So I don't want to necessarily like what I'm thinking is like, do I want to have like super easy, harder, more hard, final boss really hard, and then you're done? Like you always want the final boss to be like the hardest battle. But I don't know. I think there's something to saying that there's like, you ramp them up, small battle. I guess if you had 5 encounters, you would have like small, like level 1, level 2, and then you could do like a level 4, then a level 2, and then a level 5 or something like that. Basically, I'm thinking of like difficulty. And do I want it to be like, right? Or do in terms of difficulty, right? Hard. Or do I want it to be like, little breather, and then, wah! It's crazy. Dips, and then it's like a big battle. I think because there's not much going on, this is a pretty straightforward campaign, right? You beat some people upstairs, you go downstairs, you go through a thing, you're fighting some guys, you turn the corner, oh, there's different types of guys, there's zombies, let's kill those dudes. And then you go in and you fight a big crazy wizard. And so I also try to think of, like, alternate ways of battle, because so this is something in video game design that you hear a lot about adventure games, is that you're like you know, like when you make an adventure game, it's like you're really looking for people to do certain combinations of things. So you're like, oh, okay, I take the string that the mouse gave me, and then I take the matches, and I take the giant's earwax, and I make a candle, and I can use that to go into the dark place or something, right? But what people hate is when you have a tool or like an item in your inventory that you should be able to use to solve this the second way, but you can't because it's not this one way that's been programmed in. Like, you're like, oh, that's terrible. So, you know, kind of the idea is that, like, you know, you have to like knock something off a top ledge, and you have a pair of like pruning shears, like for like cutting plants. You should be able to use that to like knock the thing off the ledge, right? But they're just like, oh no, we want you to like make a mop out of fabric, tape, and a stick. But you're like, but I have the pruning shears. I could just hit it with that. Like, they're giant. Look how big they are. When like you drew it, so they're huge. It's like, how come I can't just use that, right? And like people don't like that. So the solution to that is you either let people just hit it with the pruning shears, or you make it where the pruning shears rust and break after using them to cut the one thing, and then you don't have them anymore. And you make sure that happens before you have anything that needs to be cut or tipped or poked, because people are just going to think, just use the pruning shears for that. So the reason I'm thinking about this is, so there's a part of me that thinks I'm the type of player, if I was a wizard, I was like, okay, we found the escaped townspeople, we've killed the zombies, and now there's a door leading into a big ceremony room. What are my chances of thinking that that ceremony room is filled with someone, like, that's probably where the main bad has escaped to? Maybe I should just blow up this door and bury them all alive so they can never come out anyway, and then I don't have to fight them. That's what I think of as a player. I'm like, do I have a move stone spell to just like try to block them in, or to like collapse, to like punch out a support so the whole thing just falls in? So in order to not do that, you have to just, so I try to think of as many ways that I, as a player, would like circumvent everything possible. Like, so for a second, I was like, what if the zombies are controlled not to eat the people unless they cross a line? So there's no wire cage and the zombies are just there. And if I was, if I'm thinking of that, I just have to kill the zombies, and then I'd have the people go, and then I'd try to blow up this cavern and just trap the bad guys underneath this cave forever. Like, I don't know that there's not a back way out, but I'm assuming, so I'm just going to blow it up, and then I don't have to worry about it. But if I have a jail cell, and then the people are like, oh, the guy in the room has the key, now I know I have to fight the guy. Right? I can't, otherwise these people are going to die and starve to death, or live out their life in a jail cell, even if I like bring them food and water, right? So that's all. That's, I don't know how that tangent came across, but that's what I was thinking about. Okay. Oh, you know what? Wait, I think not all of the cultists fight to the death. Okay, acolytes only fight to half health before retreating to the inner sanctum, where they will fight to the death. Okay, so the first battle when they fight the initiates, that's actually pretty light because they're going to give up. So Okay, so I think to make it where this is a fair fight, The antechamber is gonna have. Oops. Gonna have 2 cult initiates and 2 I write inner acolyte. It's like I think I had it. I was gonna call them like or warden acolyte. I was gonna call them like inner light members or like something like that, or come up with something. 2 warden acolytes. Standing guard. Having been alerted by Father Tramplar moments earlier. The inner sanctum. And if anyone's watching, this isn't like necessary. There's no like standard format, really, I think, for independent published adventures and stuff. So this is what works for me. Do what you want. The inner sanctum. The main place of worship for the followers of Nerithrax. This once vaulted, esteemed dedication, esteemed tribute to the majesty of Elona. How do I, is it E-L or E-H? Lona. Okay. Lona. I don't know why I thought it was Elona for some reason, or spelled differently. That makes a lot of sense. Excuse me. Crazy on. Okay. This once esteemed tribute to the majesty of Elona has fallen to the wayside over the centuries. A majority... half of the sanctum has been devastated by a cave-in, leaving only partial areas of the sanctum usable. Father Tramplar has already used the former stone table of Elona's worshippers as a perverted sacrificial altar to Nerithrax. Altar. Upon the altar is a tied up townsperson. gagged and bound. He's mainly a spellcaster. Okay. Okay. Right now this is just the overview, so then the DM knows what's kind of going on. Okay. Secret passageways. To the right side of the altar is a passage to a Lota's Acolytes is AC possibly. Characters can find this by a DC like a 13. Wisdom, perception check. Or do they use a perception check for fight? Yeah, I think you do. I need to double check that, but I'm gonna double check all of the rolls again later. Okay. I think where are we going now? You know, I think these should have their I think they should have their own like areas. Yeah. So those are really the features. And I think these are all like mini little like areas. Maybe it's not the anti. Yeah, no, maybe this is locations in the hidden temple. Then we'll go to heading 3 for the antechamber. I guess this is something where it's like we could also, I mean, we'll build each of these out because this is really the main battle. These are like the battles of the encounter or the adventure. But this is where we can add some helpful descriptive bullet points or box text to help the DM out in describing what's going on and making it clear to everybody what's happening. So let's see what's going on. if the okay, so I think NPC wise, if the acolytes are retreat, if acolytes in the room, if there are no acolytes in the room, both cult initiates will surrender immediately, dropping their weapons. I think that's fair because, like, if you're in a, it's like, I don't know if you watch a lot of like Korean or Japanese dramas or movies, but like, there's a lot of like gangster violence type stuff, or I watch a lot of those, I guess, and there's always that trope where there's like the super badass John Wick style person, right? And then there's like a room of like 30 dudes, and then like everyone, like a few guys come in and he just like dispatches like 5 dudes in like 10 seconds, and everyone is like really badly fucked up, and now everyone else is like thinking second about trying to take this dude on. And then you have like the big dude who's like, get the fuck out of my way, and he comes up and then he actually fights the guy, but then the John Wick dude will like kill this dude really terribly usually, and then like everyone else is kind of like, oh damn, and they just like drop their weapon and like run away, because these aren't gun battles, right? They're not like, it's really hard to get a gun in Japan or Korea, so this is super fascinating, right? Like in US media, like people get shot like all the fucking time, right? Because we have guns everywhere in society. But because guns are so hard to get in Korea and Japan, even the police usually don't carry guns on them. They have to go and like sign out a gun, because gun violence is so fucking rare in those countries. But what you do get is a lot of stabbing and axes, and also baseball bats for like minor delinquents. If you're not trying to kill someone, you hit them with a bat. But like all the assassin dudes are knife people and like small axe people, which is, in my mind, fucking way worse. I'd rather see a dude get shot than see a guy get a like axe to the head. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I'm like, I would rather be shot in the head and die immediately, but then axe through my eye, and then I lose my eye, and I also have to like do all the fucking PT and reconstructive surgery because an axe just got stabbed in my face. Like, just kill me, man. Headshot and I'm done. Fine. I'm way would prefer guns to like axe violence. It's terrible. Anyway, so I think the fact that the 2 acolytes treat at half health, or are killed if they like just get like totally kabonked by like, the barbarian can do like 10 damage one hit, and I think the acolytes are like 15. Yeah, right. So if like, say they get hit by like a wizard's magic missiles, and then the barbarian comes and just like fucking cleaves a dude in 2, that's also, you don't have to worry about acolytes later. You want to finish them off pretty quickly. Dropping their weapons and begging for forgiveness. I mean, you could always kill them, but like that's kind of messed up. All right, so cool. If the end of this encounter, The initiates will inform you of the jail. See jail. And will provide information about the inner sanctum if asked. Actually, we should have a roll. They need to be somewhat intimidated on a like DC 8 charisma intimidation check. And I just bold all the rolls to make it easy. How do I spell it? Intimidation check, and will provide information about the inner sanctum if asked. Okay, that's a pretty straightforward battle. The dudes are there. Okay. That's like a combat note, really. So this is something they could describe. No. Having been alerted by Father Trampler moments earlier, at the in the corners of the antechamber. Stand and wait, ready to eliminate the threat to their organization. I'm going to put this in italics. Italics. So this basically says it's like, hey, you can just read this straight to the players. That's why I rewrote it to be a little bit more descriptive, to be like, as opposed to like at the bottom of the stairs are these two guys, and they were just alerted earlier, which isn't very like dramatic. So, having been alerted by Father Trampler moments earlier, in the corners of the antechamber, 2 cult initiates and 2 warden acolytes stand and wait, ready to eliminate the threat to their organization. Right? So you can just read that out like dramatically, and then you're like, ooh, they're ready for us. There's gonna be a battle. Let's get our swords ready, everybody. Let me get my rolling jeans on. Wouldn't that be funny? I think that would be hilarious if people had, like, pants they put on when they have to roll 20-sided die. They're like, I really need to roll well. Let me put on my rolling pants. Maybe I'll make that into a character who, like, gambles with you and has to, like, put on their rolling pants. I almost like making NPCs more than I like writing, like, more than I like writing combat scenarios, to be honest. But, I don't know. That's just me. I think that's why this is one of my first D&D adventures that I'm writing, because most of the tabletop RPG stuff I've written is more focused on collaborative storytelling using like either the Genesis framework or what's the other one we've done? I've mainly actually used the Genesis framework, which is, if you're unfamiliar, it's like a different RPG system, but it's more about storytelling, and then you roll. You're like, I want to do this. I want to punch a cat in the face, and then it's like, all right, roll die, and then there's like two different types of symbols. There's success and failure symbols, and then there's advantages and disadvantage symbols. So basically, what would happen? So say I get like 1 success, 2 failures, but I also got 3 advantages. So like the advantage, it's like one success, 2 failures, right? So then they cancel each other out, so it's 1 failure. And then say I have 3 advantages, 2 disadvantages, those cross out, so I only have 1 advantage. So I have 1 failure, 1 advantage is what I roll. And that would be like, so I wouldn't actually punch the cat, but something good has to happen because I failed at punching the cat. So you can have these things where like you don't do what you're trying to do, but then good things happen, or you could get what you tried to do, but then something really bad happens. So it could be like, so in that case, success with a disadvantage, or with a failure with an advantage, failed, get the advantage. It would be like, I punched the cat, but the cat, being a cat, dodged me and ran through my legs. And as we watched it scurry down the hall, we heard, "Hey, what's that?" "Dude, that's just a cat." And so now the players have the advantage that they now know that there were 2 guards right around the corner, right? And we're like, oh, good thing you scared that cat, because now we know, like, the advantage is we now know there's at least 2 guards around the corner, right? So then now we should be quiet instead of just like tromping on into the next room or something like that. So it makes it for less of a combat-y type thing and more of a like, you can still do combat, because you can still be like, I'm going to try to shoot the dude with my photon blaster, and then you roll and you figure out whether or not you hit him. But I don't know, like that's kind of like, it's more storytelling and kind of improv-y than it is like, oh, can I hit him with a fireball? You're like, oh no, you're too like far away. It's all like, like D&D is all about using the rules to help you strategize and help you like have a framework to know where everyone is in the room and like stuff like that. The other ones, like, I like Genesis, I think, because you can play like over Zoom and you don't need like Roll20 or like anything like that, like any other stuff. You don't need a map. You can just be hanging out with your friends and being like, I'm gonna go punch that dude. You're like, yeah, and you're like, well, you punched him, but the disadvantage is that like he's a really big dude and he just takes your punch and then punches you back in the face, and then you're like, oh, that's okay. So I don't know, if you're more into storytelling, check out Genesis. It's spelled like I'll put it in chat. Genesis. Yeah, so that's like a whole different like system than D&D. But okay, anyway, I don't know why I got on that. Sorry. Okay. Oh yeah, because I like making up weird characters that do like weird stuff. Probably because I'm just weird, but and the offshoot. Okay. Characters. can't spell intimidation. So on an 8, you just learn. They'll tell you like there's a jail. The townspeople are there, and then if you really intimidate them and you're like, tell me what you fucking know, and then you have like a 15, then they're like, oh, there's a jail over there and there's 3 zombies. You got to kill the zombies. It's not my fault. I'm not gonna kill a zombie. I'm just a dude. I work on a farm. I'm just a little dwarf halfling hybrid, so that makes me tiny and really round, and nobody likes me, and I'm small, and I work on a farm. Don't kill me. Okay, the jail. Let's see. I don't know. I don't think they've. I think they've installed it. They have. Installed a wall of metal bars and a door to make a jail. The jail is populated by scared and malnourished town folks recently abducted from Smallwick. Okay, so this is like really just like what happens, right? Both terrorize and make an example of defiance as well as guard the other townfolk. Okay, I already fixed that by saying guarding them are, so we can make this more active. Who shamble about and have been set to scare the captive townsfolk scare the idea of rebellion or escape from the captive townsfolk. Stationed is a better word than placed or set, I think. Jail is populated by scared and malnourished townsfolk recently abducted from Smallwick. Guarding them are 3 reanimated townsfolk / zombies who shamble about and have been stationed. I'm going to unbold that or unitalicize that so you don't see zombies. Are 3 reanimated townsfolk who shamble about and have been stationed to scare the idea of rebellion or escape from the captive townsfolk. The jail is enough to cram a majority of the and many more people. Is right now populated by 8. 7. Now populated by 7 villagers, most of whom were devout Alona followers, and resistant to the adoption of the warnings of the light. The door to the jail cell has been magically enchanted. I'll give people a chance. Wait, how? Okay, I have a PDF for like stuff like lockpicking, I think. Let me look if I can find it. It's like a quick reference sheet I bought a long time ago. Let me open that up. It's like the definitive GM quick reference sheet for 5th edition. Okay, let's see. Do I have... I think it has the rules for lockpicking, but... let me see. Maybe not. Nope. Damn. Failed me, guide. That's the kind of stuff I want. Let's see. 5e lockpicking. That should probably come up with what I need. Beginner's Guide to Burglary. Thieves' Tools, Proficiency, Dex. A Beginner's Guide to Burglary. Starting DC is 15. Yeah, right. Thieves' Tools. Oh, this is cool. Like someone is suggesting a better way to pick locks. That's kind of an interesting thing. I kind of like the idea of like how many pins in a lock are kind of cool. If the zombies are gone, but whimper, scream, or occasionally shout over there. that's the second. That okay. So this is actually the first thing. While the zombies are there, the townsfolk are too scared. After these zombies have been dispatched, the townsfolk are more than willing to inform you that the key to the lock is with Father Tramplar. If a character wants to try to pick the lock, a random prisoner will inform them that the lock they saw Father Tramplar cast a spell on the lock. Failed attempts at lockpicking will cause the character picking the lock to take, what's a fair amount, just to tap you, 1d6 fire damage. I mean, 6 damage, it could still be 6, but like 3 damage. 1d6 fire damage. This enchanted lock will have a DC of... I really want you... okay, so this is me trying to make it to dissuade people from picking the lock and to go fight Tramplar. But I do want there to be the opportunity to... just go with lockpicking instead. A slim chance. So 18, even if you have proficiency, right, that's going to be a +3. You're going to have to roll probably a 16 or higher, really. Assuming you have proficiency. I think 18 works. I have a DC of 18. But a successful... Arcana's intelligence, right? I've used it before. I should... Yeah. Yeah. Intelligence, Arcana check will to dispel the enchantment, but also prevent the lock from being picked. Sorry, I should... Gotta make sure you keep the formatting right. Okay, so that's kind of nice. It's we'll raise the lock picking DC to Okay, so you can still pick the lock. If you manage to dispel the enchantment, you can it makes the lock harder to pick, but you don't get fire damage from that. Does that make sense? That's like how I want it to work, but that doesn't actually make sense. Let's just turn up the DC to 19 and but a successful DC 18 will allow you to. So it's like you have to play it safe. You have to roll high, really high twice, or you have to roll really high once. I think that's fair. Okay. Once freed, the townspeople will rush to escape, thanking you as they hobble away down the corridor towards freedom. They assure you they will inform the mayor and round up a posse to help you. They will inform the mayor of what has been going on. Oh wait, no, I don't. This assumes they get picked, and that's the less likely chance. So once freed, the townspeople rush to escape, thanking you. Okay, yeah. Okay, the main place of worship. Dust and large rocks. Huge swaths of the room. You now know why the main doors were stuck shut. The cave in must have happened. Thousands of pounds upon thousands of rock and soil have buried it. Yeah, this is weird. This is like awkward writing. I don't think I need to say that. That should be pretty obvious. I feel like this maybe could get box text because yeah. Okay, I'm gonna actually just rewrite this. What's the steam place of worship? Okay. Before you lies a cavernous. Okay. I don't know. If you weren't deep underground, you would have mistaken yourself to be standing before a vast cathedral. Stone cathedral. Ornate stonework spirals up and around large pillars of sparkling granite. Towards a vaulted ceiling cleared of stalactites. Large parts of this inner sanctum have been covered in by the ancient cave-in earth and boulders and rubble, blocking the passage, swallowing up both the opposing corners of the room. Following the torchlight at the head of the room sits a ancient stone table, now draped in the recognizable red and gold of the wordings of the flame. Upon the table lies a body unfamiliar body. Actually, Elvish corpse. Elven? Are they Elven or Elvish? Elven. Elven, I think. Elvish is the language. Lies a bloody elven corpse, flies swarming about it. behind the ghastly offering is Father Trampler. Father, a mask of rage covering his face. Let's see. Name Aisha. I'm trying to figure out, like, I wrote text for him before. I wanted, like, dialogue. Do you have dialogue? May the mortal flame cast light into your soul and guide your hearts towards. Come inside, come inside. He's like, I don't want a villain monologue too far. You've come this far, meddlers. Now come take your come meet your final resting place. Nerothrax in your name shall offer you the body, offer you these pitiful embers, offer you 5 pitiful embers of us. I think 5 pitiful embers. Okay, that's good. Again, balancing how much of my voice is in this versus how much a DM would need to be able to, like, make this their own too. See, I forgot what he has. He has Flame Burst, Flame Ward, Command, Hellish Rebuke, Burning Hand, Witch Bolt, 2 Cure Wounds. That's crazy. I feel like 4d10 necrotic damage. 16 health right there. Yeah. I can't. I don't know. I gotta nerf this dude. 4d10. I do 3d10. I mean, he is supposed to be a tough boss, but surrounding himself with unholy flames. Yeah, so like because the go away. Because the antechamber is set up to have the acolytes, once they get to half health, they'll run away if they're not just killed outright. There's going to be these acolytes who are going to still be here. Characters. I think that's pretty much it. It's just like you have this dude who's going to be like shooting fireballs and running away. You gotta kill the acolytes. Maybe I'll write like if characters. Should I have? Okay, so I'm thinking it's like, should I even write this? Or should I leave it up to the GM to figure out a way to help the... Yeah, I think I'll leave it up to the DM. Hole in the floor. And a ladder leading downward. bookshelves with scrolls and books that are so old they've removing them would turn them to dust. However, in the center of the room lies an unlocked chest with some gold. Let me see. How much is... What's a good amount? Let me get my GM's thing. Just we'll set it. What else could they find in there? Maybe... If they open the chest, they find more scrolls that turn to dust as the chest is opened, and I don't know, 49 gold pieces. I got chintzy. 13 silver pieces and 5 copper pieces. I don't know why they have change. I never like when it's like they find 50 gold. I'm like, that's so easy to divvy up. I want it to be hard. I want people to be like, okay, well, we all get a copper, but who gets more silver? We can't all get the same amount of gold. Does someone want the less gold and get the silver and the copper at least, maybe? Get to like figure stuff like that out. That's what I'm into. Okay, so then we're done. We're done with that. Now we are at wrap up. Oops. Okay, after disposing of Father Tramplar, can return to town for a hero for somewhat of a hero's welcome. Many of the townsfolk are disillusioned by the betrayal of Father Tramplar. But the mayor, what's her name? Find. Andra Lightscale. Okay. I'm gonna scroll real fast. Mayor Lightscale is assuring people of the doing her best to assure the town of a future regardless of spiritual just guidance and proposes a return to the celebration of Elune. Mayor grants you your reward, and townsfolk are already replacing the banners of the Immortal Flame Festival with the original solstice celebration decor. Green and brown solstice celebration decor. So this is not necessary, but something that I would probably do is add in potential campaign extensions in case they want to keep this going. Of the former approaches you, letting you know that he had heard Father Tramplar talking to another maybe it's the acolyte. Yeah. is fine. There's like an inn, the inn's name that I want. Oh, you're right. I did change the name. Myastin Acra. Myastin. Yeah, the mayor is Dragonborn, so I realized I had more of like an elf name. Myastin Acra. They do the back last name, family name, surname thing. So I had to switch it up. Anyway. I didn't even at the Tall Tavern. Where? Okay. Any other good campaign extensions? They stay. Oh yeah, that would be cool. Cool. We'll keep the cult going in 3 different ways. Now we have the cult, the actual character info, and then yeah, I think we're getting pretty good. Anyway, hopefully that was somewhat helpful. If you have any questions or want to see the finished thing, ask in the Discord. Happy to share it. And yeah, now I'm off to making the map actually mappable using a good old-fashioned grid. And yeah, that's that. So I am off. I gotta go do other work now. GG, GN, peace out. Have a great day, and I'll see you all later. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.